If there's a species of fish that flies under the radar for its trophy potential in northern Minnesota, it's the bluegill. And we're not talking about 5-inch sunnies you caught off your grandpa's dock back in the day. We're talking real, Northwoods giants in the forgotten part of the state when it comes to panfish. Maybe forgotten isn't the right word. Maybe it's due to the remoteness, the extreme conditions, the snow, the unknown. Or quite possibly, it's that most don't realize how special and rare a true 11-inch bluegill is. On this adventure, we set out in search of these giants that roam the shallow, bog-stained lakes in northeastern Minnesota. Ice camping is also on our agenda, as there's no better way to experience the wilderness than sleeping amongst it. Season 8 of Superior Angling TV is brought to you by Eskimo Ice Fishing Gear.
Looks pretty good.
Start off here.
Yeah.
It is so cold out. Nasty cold.
So cold. You don't realize it until you get on the sled.
Dude.
It's like, oh, my face hurts.
Get a 60-mile-an-hour wind hitting you. You'll find out where every air gap is in your helmet and goggles.
Yeah, you will.
But we made it, and that's all that we care about. So the mission of this is to chase giant backwoods bluegills. I don't know how many we're gonna catch. We're kind of just rolling the dice here, especially with this weather, like -15, windy right now. Like it's extreme conditions, and you know we're gonna chase some big bluegills. There's giants in here. Whether we're gonna see them or not, I don't know. But we're also going to be ice camping tonight, so why not torture yourself a little more during -15 conditions. So you have your ice tent,
Yep.
which is a Russian-made tent designed for winter camping. So we're going to put it to the test. We've never used it before. It could be interesting, but we're going to get that set up kind of close to the area that we're going to be fishing. And then, I don't know, it's like 3 o'clock right now, so we'll see how long that takes us to set up, whether we're gonna fish today or not. But we're gonna sleep on the ice and then hit it hard, you know, for a full day of fishing tomorrow. So again, a little bit of a skidoo ride to get in here, extreme conditions, windy, snowy. It's winter, right? Yeah. This is winter, and yeah, it should be a fun little mini adventure here. So stick with us, it's gonna be a good one. So this is the floor that came with it, huh?
Yeah, so it's a 3-layer floor, so.
That's pretty cool.
Idea of it is it just keeps it warm underneath, has some insulation in there.
Should we go with the duck camel or the deer camel?
Right.
Is there a right side up?
There is, so like this side is more rugged. I guess, I don't know, kind of the uglier side is more rugged.
This thing's huge.
It's giant. So here's the tent. And the idea of this is you take this out.
Okay.
Not light. You put this in the center.
Okay.
And then you tip that up. And then we take these straps off of it one by one.
Okay. This is straight from Russia.
Straight from Russia.
Oh, it's windy. It's windy and it's cold. It's going to be nice to get this set up and get that wood stove going.
So then literally you can just let it fall.
Just let it fall,
yep.
Huh? Okay.
We got a little wind, so
cool.
adjust the floor a little bit.
It's got hubs, eh?
Yep, it's got hubs, just like the Eskimo does.
Eskimo tent.
And then you just start popping them all out.
Okay.
And the poles and the hubs and stuff, they're a lot more heavy duty, I'd say. Just because it's built to kind of live in for a few days, so they really.
Yeah, it's like a dedicated camping tent.
Yep. And so here's kind of a cool thing about it. So where this really differs is a 3-layered tent. So meaning there's an air gap between the layer.
Oh, that's cool.
So It should hold more heat than like
Helps
an
with heat,
average.
helps with waterproofness as well.
Yep, absolutely.
That's really cool. So yeah, we're gonna turn this into a hot tent, run a wood stove, get some wood burning, try to stay warm because it's bitterly cold out here. But
It is.
the nice part is you can kind of camp right next to the you know, where I hope the big bluegills are. So we're not gonna catch many of them, but hopefully we're gonna see some good fish. Okay, what's next?
So at this point, probably just stake it down.
Okay. All right, now that we got that heat going, I got the doors zipped up. It is getting dark outside, and yeah, we can kind of start to get situated and warm up. That was nasty cold. It's one thing when you have those cold temps, but it's another when you have wind like that. So we'll just go over a couple things in our Kuyu pack. Some sleepwear. This is just super heavy, like sweatpants and a sweatshirt, because it does get cold overnight and into the morning. Here we have this is just a canvas protector that goes over our sleeping bag. Again, so these sleeping bags are super lightweight, very fragile to spark. So this is just kind of a case that'll go over a sleeping bag to help protect it. These are gloves, like welding gloves. They're like very heat resistant gloves. Always a good idea to keep these gloves next to your wood stove in case something does go haywire. You can grab your gloves and move the wood stove or move the pipe or anything like that. So always want to keep those next to the wood stove. And then we have an insulated sleeping pad. This is imperative because usually if you do get cold, it's going to be from the bottom up, right? That cold air seeps underneath you when you're laying on your sleeping bag, right? Up top will be nice and puffy and warm, but underneath you get cold. So an insulated sleeping pad. Let's try to find it here. The next necessity is kind of like a puffer jacket, but for your feet. These are slippers just to wear on the tent. Take our big boots off, keep those outside, and get nice and cozy and comfy with those. So a little pillow, and we have our cot and a sleeping bag. So again, cots are super nice. This is the nature hike. I've had a few people email us on what cots we use. Super lightweight, cheap, you know, as opposed to some of the competitors out there. But nice cheap cot that folds up small and is very, very lightweight. So yeah, we'll continue to get set up here and enjoy the warmth of that fire, get some rods rigged, and I'm anticipating a fun day here in bluegill country. It's something about the simplicity and tranquility of a hot tent in the middle of the wilderness on a frozen lake in 20 below weather. It's paradise. As the wood stove roared, we cooked dinner and rigged rods for the day to come. All that stood between us and the bluegills was a night's rest amongst the stars, alone in the wilderness. All right, we survived a night in the Russian hot tent. It was a little bit chilly this morning when we woke up, but quickly got a fire made, and now we're going to make some coffee. It's bitterly cold outside, probably approaching -15, and it's windy. We have some clouds and snow moving in later today, so we're going to see how all that plays out. But for now, we're going to warm up a little bit by the fire, get some breakfast going, get some coffee going, and then try to get out there by sunrise. So I don't want to miss any bite windows today, just because these fish are going to be, I don't know what mood they're going to be in. They could be difficult, or we could be in for an incredible day. You just don't know. So I've been burned before. So you don't want to miss any bite windows. So we're gonna get out there at sunrise and start popping a bunch of holes, and hopefully we're gonna see a couple of good fish. So I have my hopes up. There's giants in here. It's giant hunting, but you know, our giants aren't big trout or walleyes. They're bluegills, but they're huge, right? I always say an equivalent of a 11-inch bluegill is a 30-inch walleye, which is a 40-inch trout, right? Pretty big fish, pretty big and special fish. So hopefully we're gonna see a few today. So let's get some coffee, some breakfast in us, warm up, and then hit the ice. All right, it is brisk out here. Got that sun coming up, clear skies. It is cold this morning, so we're going to take our Alpha here and rip a couple holes right behind us. Bring our Markham. And this is the area that we're gonna be fishing, right in here. So again, very, very shallow, like super shallow. There's a lot of this lake is 3, 4, 5 feet of water, right? We're trying to find that 6, 7, those dips that are 6 and 7 because they hold panfish this time of year. There's that. I know the general area, but I did not bring a GPS. So right here, that's 7 feet, which is good. So, and again, here's a strategy for this. You can't, big bluegills are spooky, they're smart, they're elusive, right? So what we need to do right now is punch a bunch of holes and get all our drilling done, and then we can kind of let things settle down and let these fish come back to us, because it's 6.5, 7 feet of water, right? We have 2 feet of ice. So, I mean, there's 5 feet of water, right? It's like there's not much down there. So we're just gonna drill kind of just a grid pattern with holes, and then throughout the day we can just take our Markhams and just kind of go from hole to hole and ideally find where those fish are. They roam these little depressions, like little craters. It's kind of how I see it. So these big bluegills, they just roam around, right? Some days they move fast, some days they barely move at all, right? You never know. When they move fast, you're gonna graph a lot of fish and you can probably catch a lot of fish, right? Other days when they don't move, it's slow, right? So you just don't know. Again, this is trophy hunting. If we see 4 fish, right, I'll be happy, but they gotta be big, so. All right, so we have our holes drilled. That wind is cold. So we are going to be staying small, especially with this cold weather. Like, these are not ideal conditions to chase these big bluegills. It's just it's what worked with our schedule, and it's not ideal, right? They could be finicky, they can be timid. So we're gonna be using 1/28 ounce tungsten jigs from Northland, extremely small, with a plastic on there, right? We didn't bring any live bait. It'd probably freeze in our tent overnight. And plastics they're just easier to use, and I have confidence in them. So again, we're staying very, very small. So I like to have 2 rods rigged up next to me, you know, a fly rod or a fly reel and a spinning reel, kind of 2 different colors, a pink and a green, in case they turn down one, I can quickly get back down there and catch the other one. So we're just gonna drop a bait down, but again, we just kind of let these fish do their thing and kind of let them come to us if they're moving. So within a half hour, we're gonna know if they're moving good or if we have to go kind of find them, right? So you just kind of sit here and wait. It's hunting. You got to be quiet. You got to be still. You can't have much noise. That's kind of what goes into catching these big bluegills. So my guess is when they do come, they're going to bite light and they're going to be a little bit shy with this weather, right? Very, very cold, clear skies. You know, it's approaching, you know, the dead of winter, the end of January. So we'll see what's in store for us today. There's one slowly showing up. He didn't like it fast. There it is. That's a big fish. That's a big, big fish. Look at this. Look at those head shakes. This is a big bluegill. This is a good fish. That's a big fish. That's a big fish. That's what we come here for. Right there, man. Look at that stud. That's a 10-inch bluegill all day, probably 10 1/4. Big fish. Huge fish. That took not much time at all. That's what we're after. That's the chase. That's what this expedition is all about right there. Big bluegills. Let's get him back in the water. Got him. That's good. That's another good one. That's a good one. Bluegills fight so hard, and it takes a lot to get them up. Like here, they battle, man. This is another good fish. Look at this bluegill. Look at that. Awesome. That one's got girth. He doesn't have the length, but he's got the girth, and he's got the cool colors, orange, purples. What a fish. What a fish. This one wanted that green. That first one didn't. This one did. So off camera, we're, changing up as we go, and that's another, wow, beautiful, beautiful fish. Got to get these things back quick. Like, my hands are already numb. I'm gonna get back down there, because what we do see is these bluegills do, it's either singles or pairs, and I'd say it's 50-50 that they travel, in how they travel. Sometimes it's singles, sometimes it's pairs. So you catch one, get the fish back quick and get back down there. I'm just letting my bait sit there and warm up my hands, keeping an eye on my graph to see if another one's gonna come. So that's how cold it is right now. Like, it's nasty cold. That was a light bite. That's a big fish. That was a very, very, very light bite. It's a big fish. Big, big fish. Big, big, big fish. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Look at that bluegill. That is insane. Insane. These tiny Northland tungsten jigs in the tip of its mouth. How long is that one? That's 10 1/2. Not quite 11, 10 1/2. Huge bluegill. Again, we got to get these things back fast. That fish, there is zero freezing on its fins. You got to watch the fins, and you got to watch the eyeballs when it's this cold if you're releasing fish. Get them back fast. Get them back fast. Pretty cool to experience a bite like this in northern Minnesota, which totally flies under the radar for big bluegills. I mean, there's not many people up here who fish them, so it's cool to see what we are here today. We got to keep moving. It's tough conditions. These fish are being really, really spooky, so we just got to keep drilling. We have about, I don't know, 90, 100 holes on our alpha here, but we just got to keep drilling. Let's go. Trying to keep my hands in my gloves till I see a fish. This one's gonna do it. There he is. There he is. You just got to do a gentle hook set, just because they are biting a little bit lighter. This is a big, big fish. Right at the hole. Come on, that's a big, huge bluegill. These are true Northwoods trophies. That fish has the length and it's got the girth. I mean, just absolute slobs. It is so cool to experience this. I know this is a very unofficial measure here, but I mean, it's right at so many fish at like 10 1/4, 10 1/2. Again, we got to get these things back quick. There he goes. That's cool to see, man. They're just munching these tungsten jigs. We got to stay small, like 1/28 ounce, and use tungsten, because you can get them down there like getting a 1/28 ounce, like a lead jig of this size, like you're never gonna get the bottom, right? So use tungsten. Northland makes some great tungsten jigs for panfish, but that's all we're using right there. Just that jig and a little plastic, and just waiting. I'm just waiting these fish out, right? I'm just kind of enduring the cold temps, just sitting here because they're cruising around good right now. They're moving good. There it is. It's just a slow lift, right? Cold weather days like this, we don't want a big, huge hook set, just like a slow lift. It's a big fish. Big head shakes. Big head shakes. Look at this bluegill. My goodness, man. I'm speechless. Like I'm literally left speechless with how big these gills are. What a special day we're having. It's just hard to describe. Again, our number one priority is safely and effectively releasing these fish. Never would I ever dream of or even think about keeping one of these. We got to get back down there. There's a pot of them here right now. It is, oh, my hand's already frozen. Blowing snow in your face. We have to reopen these holes every 20 minutes. It's just, we're trading off rods because like our reels keep icing up. It's intense stuff, man, but it's worth it. It is worth it. Here he comes. There he is. That's heavy. Heavy, heavy, heavy. Heavy, heavy, heavy. Come on, baby. Jeepers. Jeepers, man. This is a big fish. This is a big, big fish. Oh, dude, look at the size of that bluegill. That's an 11-inch fish with girth. That is absolutely astounding. Look at the magnitude of this fish. I can't describe this right now. That is huge, like beyond comprehension. 100% that's 11 inches. Look at the girth that fish has. That's one of the bigger bluegills we've caught in a long, long time. Look at that thing, man. Huge bluegill. That is so cool. Let's get him back. That's awesome. That's a good fish. I really wish we could take the time to appreciate them more out of the water, but it's just not respectful. It's not respectful to those fish, so that's like mind blown how big and special and rare that bluegill is right there. And to catch it in these conditions on camera is even more cool. Like it's not easy. It may look easy by you guys watching this, but it is level 10 nasty out here, blowing snow. Our holes freeze like instantly. You can't have your hands out of your mitts except for when you're about to set the hook on a fish. So, but what we noticed is we totally spooked all the fish out of the main area we were fishing. So we slid 40 yards this way and we found them again. So that just shows you how sensitive these fish are to pressure, to noise, to everything going on. So we're back on them. That's incredible, incredible. Right there. Oh, that's big head chicks. Oh, come on, baby. That's a giant. That's a giant. That's a giant. Look at that northern Minnesota bluegill, man. An absolute stud. Huge, huge. Wilderness bluegills. I'm speechless. Like these get me as excited as a big 15, 20 pound trout. Like it's hunting. It's being stealth, hunting for these huge backwoods bluegills. Let's get it back and catch another one. Got him. Good fish. Good fish. Another good fish. Oh, big. This is a giant. This is another giant, man. They just bulldog you right at the hole. Big fish. Big fish. Big fish. Big fish. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Look at this bluegill. Look at that thing. That is an absolute stud. Look how thick his back is. I mean, that's a bluegill of a winter. Covers my whole hand. I don't know. I'm speechless right now. Absolutely speechless at the size of these bluegills. What a special, special fish. We're gonna get him back. That's a special fish. You have to release these fish, right? There's zero need to keep that fish. If you're hungry, go to the store, buy some fish, go catch a walleye, you know, whatever. Keep a smaller crappie. Those fish need to go back. They are very, very fragile. They're special. I can't say enough about them. Like that's a trophy caliber fish. I mean, a 10.5-inch bluegill with girth, right? I mean, huge, huge. All right, I am beyond exhausted, cold, and we're getting a little hungry. And we have experienced what I would consider the best bluegill bite I've ever seen in my life. Just the sheer numbers combined with that size, and the size is just it's literally mind-blowing. And there's fish that like they have the thickness too, like they're big fish. So truly special bite that we found here today. There's one who kind of wants to play. I don't know if he's going to come up or not. I don't think he's going to do it. But yeah, I mean, hands down the most incredible bluegill bite I've ever seen. So, I mean, it's pretty cool to experience that, to ice camp, pretty special trip, and to capture it all on camera. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.